I had to learn how to do this with my wife. And I initially learned this from Tony Robbins' Ultimate Relationships, where you have to let the woman fully vent. And you keep asking over and over, anything else? Tell me more.
Yep.
Until that bucket is empty. And they're like, no, I feel complete. And then you ask again to make sure they're complete.
There's a little more.
Yeah. Are you sure?
Yeah.
And then once my rule of thumb is like, once they've said, no, I feel complete in 3 different ways, then it's probably complete. And then you can move on.
Yeah.
But we have to do that with our own parts to create the harmony. And that's like in sessions, I'm constantly doing that. I'm checking for completion. But when they're in harmony, then they will cooperate and not resist more powerful badass Josh leading, or badass Mike, or whatever, because they feel seen and they know they have a voice. You want your parts to always feel like they have a voice in your life because they have a good intent. There's always a good intent.
How do you know there's true completion?
Test.
And what's that test feel like?
You're testing. That's where you're testing for the congruence. And I'm also looking at, when I'm guiding people, I'm looking at their somatic. How's their body feel? Is there a little tension? Is there a little resistance? Or are they feel, I feel great. And they just feel fully, like when you hear that voice, I feel great. Then you're like, perfect. Like you sense there's congruence.
Yes.
And then sometimes they won't be complete and you'll have to go back and do some more work on it.
I remember you said when we started, you're like, hey, you guys, this might take more than one round, which I can agree on. I will say though, I feel like we had a quantum leap.
Yeah, you did.
Quantum leap.
Yeah.
Because with new understanding comes new awareness. And with new awareness, fucking anything is possible. Yeah. If somebody is in the new stage of awareness, how do you typically see people regress? In other words, they have the peak experience, there's the height, but your goal, if I'm getting you right, is not so that they have the mountaintop and the valley. Yeah. It's the mountaintop and then a plateau and then another mountaintop. How do you do that exactly?
Yeah. So great analogy there. So I want people to keep making progress, but also give themselves grace when they have a little speed bump. You're going to have speed bumps. And so something I really borrowed from NLP side and I've really incorporated in is future pacing, because I was future pacing you guys, because I want to future pace you so you succeed. Because if you expect things to be perfect afterwards and there to be no conflict and Carrie to always perfectly love you and you to perfectly love her or whatever, then you're set up to fail. Right. But I wanted to future pace you, even become masters of repair. That's a future pacing of an identity, meaning, and emotion attached to master repair. And then for you, I was actually internally also creating leadership leverage, because you are a leader and you want to be a great leader in your family. So like, all right, how do I just plant this in Josh that helps him get to where he wants to go? Yeah. Which is like the great family and the love. Sure. I was like, all right, so I'm going to plant this in Josh and help and plant it in myself too. I'm like, all right, I'm working on being a master repair. Like I did it on Monday night with my wife. I led the repair and I was okay with that. Right. Even though she was kind of getting activated. Even though, anyway, but so future pacing is a big piece. Like I want my client to succeed and not just feel great about our time together. I want them to have the success and the wins afterwards, and then also be prepared as much as I can for the speed bumps. And then when they get off track for a moment, how to get back on track. So I'm using metaphors a lot. Like, all right, we created it's almost like going down the interstate, got a new exit ramp called Loving Connection that we created. You're used to fighting. There's that exit ramp is well developed of combative, argumentative, blaming, shaming, whatever, right? Not you guys, just in general, right? Yeah. And or anxiety is a well-developed exit ramp. It's got the super malls, big outlets, all the food, and then peace and calmness. There's like a, Holiday Inn and McDonald's and a Shell station. Not a whole lot going on there. But if you take that exit ramp, you get off at anxiety and you're like, I want to go back to the joy and peace. Do a U-turn, come back. And eventually that exit ramp with the joy and love has so much more traffic that the development goes over here. Yeah. And I see it happen.
I love this because we all know how to get home without even looking at Google Maps.
Yeah.
We do it.
Yeah, it's unconscious.
The neural pathways are so set in couples, let's say 5-10 years of bitterness, of maybe even betrayal, arguments. You say a lot about neuro rewiring and actually you even called it something really cool. You said a surgeon of the unconscious mind.
Yeah.
I actually, it's funny. People have asked me about my experience with you, and I'm like, yeah, he's doing this like psychic surgery. I've even said that before. So to really rewire the neurology, we have to first admit that we can get home to anger and bitterness and resentment without ever looking at a map.
Yeah.
Then from that place of honesty, then we can start driving the new on-ramp to peace and joy.
Yeah.
How does that actually work, man?
Yeah.
From a neuroscience perspective and also from a spiritual lens.
Well, I'm not erasing those old pathways, right? They're still there, but I'm helping you create a new pathway, and you have a new option. And then even how I describe it as a new option, I want to, if the desire is more love, then I want you to have almost in this pre-make the decision, right? Like it's kind of the whole, why do people who sign up for personal fitness training get more results than people that just sign up for a gym membership? They've already booked. They've pre-made a decision. I'm showing up every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
And I'm not letting someone else down, right? So you're pre-made a decision. So I want people to pre-make the decision to choose joy, to choose repair, to choose peace, to choose progress over perfection. Because now I've pre-made that decision to give myself grace, to give her grace when she F's up, which she will inevitably, which I will inevitably. So I've pre-made decisions, and those decisions are going to lead me to this joy, lead me to this connection, lead me to this love that I long for, or lead me to the health, right? Metabolic health is another thing. And if I pre-make all these decisions, then I'm actually bypassing, I'm not even going down the anger, judgment, fear, mongering, whatever. I'm going down this path automatically because that's where you future pacing yourself into that, envisioning, like oftentimes in sessions, I'll have clients envision 3 scenarios in the next 6 months of where they might be tempted to go down that old route, but then they choose the new route. So now I've literally, especially while you're on medicine, because you're on that heightened neuroplasticity, I'm creating that you're creating that opening in your own nervous system, but then I'm guiding you to create use that opening to maximal impact. And so now you're pre-making these decisions and envisioning. So you're already seeing the thing that's going to happen. It's kind of like, Tom Brady's seen himself throw that touchdown winning Super Bowl pass before it happens. He's seen himself, he's played the whole game plan over and over and over. So by the time it happens, he's already played that movie.
Yeah.
He already knows what's going to happen.
In our software, even in our hardware, we don't know the difference. Our body doesn't know the difference between future and present if we feel it equally.
Yeah.
Isn't that such a fucking mind?
So we can take advantage of that.
Mind. I mean, how cool is it that we're the programmer and the player at the same time?
Exactly.
That's the part that's so incredible. And it's not just woo-woo. It's actually hard science. You mentioned Brady. Every Olympic athlete, all these athletes, they put on headphones, they close their eyes, they run the race before they ever even run it. That's the science that we're talking about. This isn't just woo.
Correct.
Now, where I'd like to create and what we're going to create together is Josh being in authentic joy and expressing authentic joy.
I love that.
I'm like, my whole body's just getting warm just thinking about it. So that's the ramp that we're going to create together because I know, I just trust. I just know it's a knowing.
Yeah.
I know everything that I see possible is on that on-ramp.
Yeah.
I'm also in the space of giving myself grace while I get there. I don't have to get there tomorrow.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of, is that future pacing? And then if so, what is required for future pacing to actually be reality?
Yeah. Good question. I mean, future pacing can be as simple as like you're driving down the road.
It's not just manifestation. It's something different, right?
Yeah. It's for a few, like the deeper levels, like you might be doing a deep, 20, 30 minute or an hour long visualization and experience and writing out, might be describing your future self, might describing your, those exercises, a day in my ideal life.
Yes.
That's kind of future pacing in a way.
Yeah.
But I look at it as like the whole gamut of it is like, all right, yes, there's the deep meditative experiences and the deep visualization, but we're not doing that all day long. We can't. We got work to do.
Yeah.
We got people to hang out with or whatever. We got babies to feed or whatever. But when you're walking back to your house from your podcast studio, are you future pacing? Are you seeing, my wife's probably going to be stressed. Haven't been with the kids or this or that.
Oh, yeah.
So how do I come in? Boom. I'm not going to get triggered when she's abrasive because she's tense and stressed. And I'm not going to personalize it. Instead, I'm going to come in as a calming, peaceful warrior. I'm going to bring peace and I'm going to bring love and I'm going to bring joyful playfulness. I'm going to connect, allow her to process her energy so it moves through because I'm the first adult she will have talked to in person that day. Right. So I'm going to help her process that. And then I'm going to love on her, help her feel safe, play with my kids, bring joyful Josh. And then I'm going to bring joy to her. And I'm going to be a master of helping her create a state change. Go from stressed to joy. It might take 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. But and so even there, I've future paced you to see yourself playing a role, right? So you just dance with, it's like intentional, playful daydreaming, as well as deeper meditation and visualization. And asking yourself, what if I did this? What if I did that? What if is one of the most powerful opening parts of a question. And then you put in what I want. What if I brought joyful Josh into every aspect of my life?
Whoa. If you enjoyed that one you just saw, you will love this one on the screen. Click it and enjoy.